Paul Johnson joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Coach, appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
You bet. Glad to do it.
Let's start off right here. Do you think the ACC gets proper credit in the national consciousness for college football, where there's such an SEC and sometimes Big Ten bias, Coach?
Well, I hesitate to really get into it a whole lot, but I think what the ACC has done speaks for itself. I mean, if you look, head-to-head with the SEC last year, the bowl season, just overall draft picks in the NFL, whatever metrics you want to measure it by or matrix you want to measure it by, I think the ACC can stand there and be on pretty solid ground with whoever you want to talk about.
It's Paul Johnson joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So what do you expect from your team? How can you get a season off on the right foot in college football with so many young kids being thrown into the cauldron of a college football season? And unlike the professional ranks, you don't have games to be played before all of that, Coach.
Well, I think that, personally what I'm looking for is that, we go out there every day and work and try to get better. And I think last year's team certainly did that here at Georgia Tech. We got better each week. And, hopefully we've got a couple of non-conference games to start with. So, I highly doubt we'll be perfect on Thursday night, but hopefully we will be good enough to win, and we'll continue to get better each game as we play.
Yeah, because that's a conversation that we're having in the National Football League, is the relevance of preseason games and how coaches need to see that in order to evaluate what their talent is. And folks like you, Coach, at the collegiate ranks, you don't have the benefit of something like that when you think about it.
No, and sometimes you get caught by surprise because you're playing against each other every day, and what you might think is a strength really isn't. It's just playing against a real weakness on the other side. So, it takes a little bit to gauge each team, but we've got a fair nucleus of returners, so we think we know what they're going to do when the lights come on. It's just all the young guys and the new guys you never know until you play a little bit.
Right. Paul Johnson joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So your offense in college football, folks in the professional ranks, when you got guys like Demaryius Thomas coming out of it, find it difficult to evaluate because you don't throw as much. And I'd love to know what your thoughts are when you hear that sort of talk about your offense being a little bit too run-oriented, Coach.
Well, I don't think they found it too difficult to evaluate. He was the first receiver taken in the draft.
Right.
So, and I think if you ask them, they'd tell you they probably got it right. I don't pay any attention to that. I mean, it's like what's the big rage now is the spread offenses are killing the quarterbacks. You can't find a quarterback in the NFL because of all the spread offenses. So it's the same. I mean, they do it to everybody. It's not just us. So it's part of the deal. You just, we do what we do. We've been very successful with it, and we don't worry too much about the outside influences of what they're saying.
Sure, and your triple option offense, what do you think it does to a defense? What is the concept of putting the pressure on the defense through your scheme, Coach Johnson?
Well, I think that, the triple option is just one play, and we're an option-type offense, but I think we do spread the field, and we have ability to throw the ball vertically down the field. We don't throw it a lot, but when we do, it's usually for big plays. And I think it just makes the defense have to defend the whole field, and they have to play assignment football on every snap, and it eliminates a lot of the blitzes and stunts that you would see in a normal offense.
And Justin Thomas, how do you think he is ready for the season, Coach?
Well, hopefully he's going to have a great year. He certainly played well for us a year ago, especially down the stretch, and he's got a really good skill set. He's a good football player. He's got a quick release. He's really quick running the football. So, we're anticipating that he's going to have another big year for us this year.
Paul Johnson, Georgia Tech head coach, joining me here in advance of their Thursday kickoff against Alcorn State. There was a lot of discussion, certainly last week, about the cost of attendance stipends that are being given to players this year, and how some programs may be looking at that in order as to discipline players for team violations, to take some of the money back, claw it back. Coach, what is your philosophy on that?
Well, You know, we don't have a fine system. We haven't even talked about that from a cost of attendance standpoint. But you know, I would have to really look at that and study that hard before I could even give you a rational answer on that. It's something that hadn't even crossed our radar.
Well, then
we're fortunate here in that we've got pretty good kids. So I think the nature of the school with the academics and the thing, you know, knock on wood, we don't have a whole lot of problems.
Would you want to see a college football expanded to 8 teams, Coach?
Yeah, I think that that would be great. You know, I think you could have the 5 Power 5 champions and the highest ranked non-Power 5, and then 2 at large. And I think anytime you can take more subjectivity out of it, the better you would be. And you know, if you had the 5 conference champions, certainly the subjectivity would be out of it, at least for 5 teams anyway.
Well, what's holding that up? Because I'd raise my hand to say I would sit in front of the television and watch every one of those, Coach.
Shoot, I have no idea. You know, I came from the FCS, or what used to be 1AA, and we played with 16 teams. So
it worked there.
You know,
it should work.
It worked fine. So, you know, all those people who say it wouldn't work, it worked on that level for sure.
Well, you came to Georgia Tech from Navy. I imagine you crossed paths with one of the greats of all time, Roger Staubach, every now and then. Do you have any good stories about Roger Staubach when you were time at Navy, Coach?
Roger was a great supporter, I think, when I was at Navy. And, you know, his playing career and what he's done certainly speaks for itself. But, you know, I was just fortunate to count him as a friend. I think that we got to know each other a little bit, and everything that you hear about him, you can times it 10. I mean, he's an outstanding person, and I think a real role model for young people to try to aspire to.
Coach, and this year there's going to be more of a target on your back because of how well you have performed last couple of seasons. Is there any difference in coaching this team and keeping your players' heads on straight about having people at least put a target, figuratively, on your back, Coach?
No, I don't think anything's changed for us. I mean, we've always had high standards, and we expect to win and compete. And from that standpoint, you know, not a lot's changed.
Coach, appreciate the time. Thanks so much for calling into the program. Good luck this season and beyond.
Okay. You have a great day.
You bet. That's Paul Johnson, head coach of Georgia Tech.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.